Hello everyone, welcome to my new video on the channel. Today we are going to flip through this book. This is my 2022 reading journal and we are now at the final quarter of the year, so there is a lot of info in here. If you're new here, hello, my name is Shell, or Shells of Books. This whole channel is dedicated to reading or bullet journaling, the process of my reading, and I'm really glad that you've decided to step into my world for a little bit today. If you've been here before, welcome back. We're going to flip through this entire book from January all the way to September, and also the setup pages in the start of this book. I have done now 3 flip throughs in this book, and that will be when I very first set up the front pages, these ones that you're seeing now, and then 2 others at the first quarter and halfway point of the year. So as you can see, the Goodreads challenge is starting to get very, very colourful, and I'm so close to my 200 books goal. I'm definitely going to scale back next year, probably to 150 books a year in the year, but for now I'm aiming really hard to get to this point. My original goal was 240 when I very first set this up, but I wasn't being really realistic at that point, and so I went before I started the year out and went back to this. If we get into here it'll be great, but for now my goal was just to get all of this done, and we're definitely on track. If I continue reading at the pace that I am, I will definitely succeed this goal. This page here will be done at the end of the year, so do look forward to that when we get there. I have some top contenders already that I know that are going to go on here. This page will hold all the books that I really enjoyed of this year, and I cannot wait to see them all together. This page, as I've mentioned before, the anticipated dates has not been working, and I gave up on it very early on, so this will not be returning in my 2023 journal. Here is my first bookshelf view. Sorry if that was on a weird angle until now. I really love how this looks still. The little ladder moves and everything's colour coordinated. The colours represent the star ratings of the book, of whatever I've read. And as you can see, I read a lot of greens and golds, and they are 4 and 3 stars respectively. I'm definitely going to be changing the colour coordination of the books next year to have 0.5 star ratings. So there'll be a lot more colour on these shelves, but I definitely think that I will stick to something very similar because I've enjoyed it so much. As you can see, we've got one more on this shelf, and then we're on the final shelf of this one, and thankfully we've got one more just in case. We've also got this gap here for a skinny bookshelf if we get to that point, but I'm pretty sure this covers 200 and something books, so I don't think we'll need it. This is my Days Read Pixel calendar. Ignore this, I made a mistake in a video that I just filmed before, but so far it's looking pretty good. I'm enjoying seeing all the months where there are continuous patterns of days being the same. We've got another one up there and there. It's been really enjoyable to see that all come together. I think next year though I will definitely individually make each square because it is a bit messy and uneven at places. Here is the series tracker so far, and to be honest, I've mentioned this before in a few videos, I'm not very happy with how it's looking, but it has been functional, so I'm happy about that. I think I will definitely improve on this somehow next year. I've had a few comments on my videos about it, and we'll definitely see. One thing I will be doing is putting a checkbox at the end of whatever row to signify when I've actually finished a series altogether, because this looks really messy and I have no idea why I started it, but I might as well continue on with it. The 2022 stats page is coming along. To be fair with you, I don't find this page very helpful. It just feels like a repetitive notion of adding in all the numbers. Perhaps at the end of the year I'll feel a little bit better about it. We've got all this space here to work with as well, and things have definitely changed. For example, over the last 2 months I've been reading audiobooks or listening to them, and there's no spot to indicate that, so I will have to add something on here. I also had the lack of foresight when I started the journal to just put 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 star ratings rather than 0.5s. At that point I guess I wasn't really doing them as often, but all the same this is very out of date, so it's something that I'm going to have to think on. Perhaps I can stick something over top and start again. The DNF library and the first ARCs page is pretty much the same every month when I look at it. I add maybe 1 or 2 books every few months onto the list. I try not to DNF much, but there seems to be at least 1 every month. At the moment, especially for the last quarter, we've had 1 per month. And this ARC page filled up really quick, so I learned that I had to add more. There is another one later on in the book, so when we go to set up for 2023, I know that I'm going to need probably 3 pages, or at least a full page spread and then 1/2. I think that will be enough. The own TBR is the bane of my existence. This page is useless. It looked pretty at the beginning, but to be fair, it's just not working, and so I'm going to have my owned TBR, the books that I own, as a digital copy, and then perhaps maybe I will print it out and store it somewhere in the book. But overall this doesn't work, and I ran out of space pretty early on. I also brought extra copies of the same books that I already had copies of, like different editions, and I wrote them down for some reason. Like I've got Caraval here, and then I've got hardcovers added on as well, and it's just not working. And I've also recently gone through this today when I was setting up for this video and noticed that a book that I read last month is not on here, but I've got 2 copies of it and I've had it for the longest time, so I don't know how I even missed putting it on the actual owned TBR. I haven't reread much. I am going to be rereading another book today, or starting it today, but this list is working. It's functional for now. I really don't reread a lot, but it's helpful to have. And then I think I'm not going to do author tracker pages in my next bullet journal. It's not, I mean, I love this page how it looks, but it's not, I don't know, it doesn't really add anything to my reading journey so far. If I didn't read so much, perhaps it would be a page to leave in, but because I read so much, it is a page that's going to have to go in 2023. I've got another one as well, and it just seems pointless because I'm not going to read all the books on the list. I was really dedicated to trying to get through all of Jennifer L. Armentrout's catalogue, but to be fair, I don't see it happening anymore. I've done a lot and I'm really happy with how I've gotten on this list, but there are definitely some series that I'm just not going to pick up, like the Vincent series. It's just not going to be something of interest. There's an extra book in this series now apparently, but I dragged my feet through Blood and Ash on the book 3, and I don't even know if I'm going to get to this one. So it's just like, I don't think this is feasible or functional is the right word. I mean functional going forward. But it does look pretty, and I have enjoyed filling in the little circles as I read them. This series here though, definitely going to do. The A to Z challenge and 22 books in 2022 are working pretty well. I only have Z to do, and a lot of people have recommended Zodiac Academy to me. That is actually the series name, not the first book's name, which is really frustrating, otherwise I probably would have read that. But I have found an anthology that I'm going to pick up, and even if I don't read the entire thing, I will have read some of it, and I will have finished an entire story in it, so I think that will cover Z quite well. I don't know if I'm going to do the challenge again next year. It was a little bit of fun, but I do think I got a little bit stressed out trying to find books that will cover, like, such as Z, and U and X were a little bit tough to cover, but overall it was quite fun. Maybe I'll bring it back. I definitely will be bringing back the 22 books, or it will be 23 books in 2023. this has been fun. A lot of the books on the list though that are left I don't really want to read, so I don't know if I'm going to finish it. Obviously the Ballad of Never After I'm reading this month. Love on the Brain I have a copy of. The Darkest Star I've been putting off, but I will definitely be reading it. I don't think I'm going to read Reminders of Him. I have gone off of Colleen Hoover, so this is a little bit of a problem. I'm wondering if I should replace the book or just not bother, but I really do want to finish it overall. Heartless and Book of Night are still definitely on my list to do, and Culty by Mariana Zapata is I do want to read it, I just don't know when. I'm extremely busy with the books that I've already got on my current TBR, so I think this page is in theory a great one, and it's been fun to sort of think of books that I wanted to read over the year and get through some of them, but I don't know if I'm going to fill in the entire list at the start of the year, because books that I liked at the start of the year all sound promising to me, have not been something that I can fulfill this late into the year. We'll see. On to January. So this theme here was kind of based off of the Folk of Air series. This is a quote from what is it called? The Love Hypothesis. So it doesn't match, and I've definitely changed that in future monthly setups, but the theme for the monthly setup each month tends to be similar. There's a book quote, there's some colourful paper or decorative paper, and then always the favourite read on this side. So you'll see that as we continue through. The monthly view has changed dramatically, and I much prefer the way it is now, but it was nice to know where I've started and what I've learned from that process. I still have my TBR and prompts pages continuing through, and my reading log is much different now as well, but like I said, it was all trial and error to see what style I liked the most, and I always have a collage at the end of each month. So that was January, and I read 24 books in January. In February we went with the mermaid theme, and this one had the Holly Black quote. It really makes no sense that I did the themes differently, but anyway, I went with the Wicker King quote for that because it's set underwater at some point, and the rest of it's all mermaids. Very much the same as the first one, and I think I read 24 books, no 20 over the month of February, and then I took part in Pharaoh Feb, and also there's the list there of what I read over that month. Here is March. I still really liked how this one turned out. I went with a colours theme, and I chose a quote that's about colours from Caraval by Stephanie Garber, and the colour scheme in this month was really fun. I remember every time I look at this, I love looking at the colours. It's just so pretty. And over the month of March, I think I read 24 books. Is that correct? Nope, 21. There's a month coming where there's 24 again. Here is April, and this is the only month where I couldn't decide between the books for my favourite read. And so I chose one from romance and one fantasy, and I really like how this one came together. It's still very brightly coloured, but I tried really hard to use colours that I don't normally use in my setups. And this is when I changed my reading log, and this is how it is to this day. I really enjoy how it goes. Here's the 24 books that I was looking for. So April had 24 books as well. On to May, which was a nautical theme, and I used a quote from It Happened One Summer. I can't remember what the quote was for April. I didn't point that out. Oh, it was the Honeymooners, that's correct. That's what it made me think of Hawaii a little bit, or a tropical island with this paper. Anyway, back to May. The quote was It Happened One Summer, which is set by a seaside port town, and I just really love this paper pack that I've got. I've had it for years, and I really loved how the headers came together for this month as well. It's just really pretty, and I read 16 books over May. This is where I started to slow down how many I read. I attempted to try and do pie charts, and I never did it again because I hated it so much, but I did add in this stats page, which has remained. And then I also took part in the 40-hour Becca's Bookopathon, and that is a page about that. Here is my ARCs continued page, and I really have struggled to fill it in. I keep forgetting to come back to this page because it's so buried in the month. Into the months. I did try and highlight it with this grey washi tape, but often times more than not I'll forget about it. I have come in and added the current ARCs on my list, so we are definitely up to date now. And I have bookmarked this page because it has personal information from my friends. The next page is just a book friend's birthday tracker, and again it'll be stuck in the front of 2023, not in the middle here. Now we're at the halfway point. Here is June, and I did a very quick quote with some paper that I found. This was my birthday month, and I just went with a really simple theme, and I really do like the headers, and I'm definitely going to use the stencil that I used for those headers again. And I went with the pinks and purples that I'm very much so known for. The ironic thing is that my favourite colour is actually blue, but I tend to use a lot of pinks and purples in my book. I don't know why. And we read 15 books over the month of June, and also it was my very first month holding my own buddy read, and it was Howl's Moving Castle, which was ironically the only 5-star read of that month. Here is another functional set of pages. Like I said, I try to do a Christina Lauren book checklist like the Jennifer L. Armentrout one. This is the second author one, and whilst I've read quite a few of their standalones, I tried to read the first book in Wild Seasons, and I DNF'd it pretty quick, so I don't think this works, so we're not going to use it again. The readjusted ratings page, I need to go in and fill this in. I just haven't got around to it. There are some books that I gave ratings to that after reflection upon those books I've changed the rating, and so I want to have a page just in case I want to write that down and change any ratings in the future. But again, I haven't used it, so I'm not sure if it's worth bringing over into the next book. We'll see. Here is July, and I really loved how this dark theme came together. The quote is from one of my favourite books this year, Belladonna by Adeline Grace, and it's just such a good book. And speaking of another good book, Set on You was a fantastic read, and the theme is very warm toned. I really enjoyed using some stamps in this setup. I just have tried a lot this year in my setup, and I've enjoyed learning what I like and don't like. I tried to use a star stamp. The biggest issue I've had was I have a stencil by Moxie Dory. I've been using this little star stencil. I don't know if you can see it. And very first world problems, but I got sick of drawing out 5 sets of stars in every single box. And so I wanted to find a stamp, and I didn't want to order one from Etsy because it would have cost a lot in shipping. So I was searching for something, and I ended up coming up with a solution. But over the month of July I read 15 books again, I think. And I think it's in this setup where the solution is. This is August, and I used a quote from Evie Dunmore's book. What is it called? It's not Bringing Down the Duke. Oh, actually, yes it is. Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. And again, another great book that I read this month over August. The theme has a lot of purple again, but I tried to really balance it out with grey so it wouldn't be the same as every other month with purple in it. And I really did like how this turned out. Again, another quote from Bringing Down the Duke. And I think it was in this month where I started to add the library haul in, or was it the month before? Let me just check really quick, I wasn't paying attention. I know I started going to the library and using library books in July, but I didn't have a space for it. So here we are. So I attempted to add in this extra page with the library haul and with quotes, and quote pages just don't work for me. I barely remember to write down one, and it's not something I'm going to remember to do often. And here is the solution to the stars. I ended up making my own stencil on Microsoft Word and then printing them out on sticker paper and then cutting each individual one out. Whilst the setup takes a little bit more effort on this page now, I'm really happy with it because the sticker paper is very easy to colour in and it doesn't bleed through too badly, so I'm really happy with this solution. I have since got a cutting machine, so perhaps I'll be able to figure out a different way to make stickers so then I can just stick them in without having to cut them out. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, over the month of August I read 15 books, and I think this month here is my favourite setup to date. I decided to do a collage, and the theme behind the collage is the aesthetics of Defy the Night and Once Upon a Broken Heart, because both those books had sequels come out in September, and I just loved how this page turned out. It's one of my favourites I've ever done. It's so pretty. And I've just finished filming this today. I'm a little bit behind in my monthly wrap up, but as you can see I brought in some browns again. And I also took part in Becca's Bookoplathon over September. We have the standard library haul buddy reads and arcs page here. And oh, I forgot to mention that the first quote is from Defy the Night and the second quote is from Once Upon a Broken Heart. And it's the same reading log here as everywhere else has been with the stickers now. And I managed to read 16 books over the month of September, and the last 2 pages I think, yep, books to get list. I thought this would be handy. I'm trying it out, and it was mostly because I had a lot of books on pre-order that hadn't come in and I wanted to track them. I also had my first year on Bookstagram, and so I just wanted to put a little page in to dedicate to that. And now we're into October, which you will see fully filled in at the end of the month of October and also in the final flip through for the year. Thank you so much for stopping by today and spending some time looking through my reading journal with me. This is an 𝓤𝓱𝓮𝓻 𝓕𝓲𝓷𝓭. It has 192 pages and I am very close to being done with it, like I showed in the beginning. I think I only have enough to fit in November and December, and then maybe have 2 pages left over. So I am on the hunt for a new bullet journal that is not this brand, because shipping unfortunately has become a mission. And so we'll be trying out hopefully a new journal together, and I will be giving my honest thoughts on that process and how we're going to set up for 2023. I'm hoping to film it and also do a flip through for those who don't want to watch me set it up. Again, thank you so much for stopping by for this flip through. It's very chatty. I hope you've all been well and have a good night or day wherever you are in this world. Thank you again for spending time with me. Bye everyone.